again, and welcome back to the 1875 Lady in Waiting channel. If you've just found us, we are super happy that you did. If you're one of our returning guests, we are thrilled you've come back to visit us again. It's going to be another day of work, so let's get to it. Alright, so we just tore into this other wall here. We're going to bring the camera in real close. Now, this is, well, it's probably termites. It looks like termites. But all the lath underneath here is just gone. You know, this is where the corner of the house sags horribly. I mean, this is where I've got my 3-inch sag from the far wall over here back to this corner. And you know, this wall's got some rot in it too. I saw that. But then, you know, especially when I get up here a little bit, it's got, you know, it had a lot more a lot more rot in it. Right in there, I don't know if the camera will pick that up. It looked like it. But that I can see that the 2x4 right in there is pretty well rotted away. And as I tore this plaster off here, this whole chunk fell out, plaster, lath, and all, and it doesn't look good. So, you know, keep working. It's just, you know, it's just par for the course right now. Okay, I'm tearing apart this wall here, and well, let's just say it's not a good thing. You know, this door, I haven't opened this door as I've been working down here, and the reason why is that this door will not open. Up there at the top, it is wedged. I've got it wedged in there. I actually had to use a pry bar to get the door closed from the last time we got it open. But as I'm tearing off the plaster here, the plaster is basically just falling off. And the reason why is that, well, as you can see, there's nothing behind it. This is termite damage, and lots of it. This whole part of the house here sags horribly. You know, this is it. You know, I get from that corner to this corner over here is about a 3-inch sag in the floor. That is the worst area of the house as far as the sag goes. And now that I've torn all this off, it's easy to understand why. There's I don't know if the camera will pick all that up, but there is just a severe amount of termite damage. It all looks very old. I mean, I don't see any evidence of, I mean, this definitely appears to be old termite damage. I don't see any evidence of the bugs right now. But at some point in time, you know, they had a severe termite problem right here in this part of the house. You know, between the rotting on the outside and the way that the bricks lean for the foundation and now the termite damage, well, it's not surprising that this whole part of the house is wanting to sag. You know, the fact that we've overspanned everything and, you know, we've added on to it, we didn't properly support the floor, you know, it goes on and on and on and on. But so this, you know, this is really wasn't what I wanted to see. I mean, it was probably in the long-term plan anyway to make sure that, you know, to just make sure that everything got treated. You know, I would have probably brought somebody in to treat for bugs and termites and everything before I buttoned everything up anyway. You know, seeing this much termite damage, this is not the worst termite damage I've ever found. It is in this house, but I've worked on some old houses before that the amount of termite damage. Let's just say it was the first time I ever jacked up a house to replace floor joists, because the seal plate in most of the floor joists on one side of the house was gone. So we, that was a project where we jacked it up, and we put a new seal plate in, and we put a whole bunch of new floor joists in, so that part of the house was now even with the rest of the house. So that's stuff that's happened. So this is definitely not the worst I've seen, but just definitely not something I wanted to add to the table of, oh yeah, it's got termite damage too. But what do you do? Keep working. All right, so we already know that this center wall here is non-bearing wall. I mean, I could see it up here when I took the ceiling out, but I pretty much assumed it was a non-bearing wall anyway. The lab go over the top of the wall. The plaster goes over the top of the wall. But another thing that you can tell that this wall was put in much later than some of the other is because the original plaster is fairly thick. I mean, it's anywhere between 3/4 to an inch thick. There's some places where it gets real thin, maybe down to 1/2 inch, whatever. But this plaster on this wall, so far this section of wall is all I've been able to get tore out here. And the main reason is the plaster is so thin here. I mean, you can see if we get this, maybe the camera will pick that up. I mean, that's less than a 1/4 inch, and it is so thin that it's on there, fairly good. But the problem is that it's over a wall that you build it underneath the lath and the plaster up here. It's sitting on it's not sitting on any bearing below, so the whole thing is just it's like if it was a wall that could have stayed in the shape it was in, great, but it's not. And this is the problem that I'm running into with, you get one wall that's covered in termite damage and the plaster just falls off, and it's old plaster. You can tell it's old plaster because it's fairly thick. Then the wall right next to it is covered in this little bitty thin stuff that whoever put it on, I mean, they were definitely using the minimalist amount of material they could to get the plaster on there, and it was probably to get it on there and get it set, let it dry out, so that they could get this property, on the market to get it rented. So, you run into so many different things in old houses like this, and sometimes none of them are pleasant. So this wall is taking 5 times as long as the wall on the opposite side did. That was, this was an add-on wall as well, but it was the exterior wall, and and with all the damage and water damage and termite damage and whatnot, it just literally just almost fell off the wall without hardly even any effort. So anyway, I think I'm wore out, is what I think. I wanted to get this room gutted today. It didn't happen. I've got 75% of it, maybe. Something along those lines. I still got to finish this one wall, and then the wall over my header opening here, which, a lot of that wall is, over there in the corner was rotted. It just fell off the wall, so we're not sure what the rest of it will do. But the rest of this big wall here, and we'll finish it up, and then we'll start getting cleaned up. But it's been a long, productive day. I'm always happy about productive days. We made progress. We made quite a bit of progress today. So I was probably stretching trying to get this whole room done today, but close. Hey, it's a good thing. So if this is the end of this episode, then we'll see you next time. If not, we'll continue it when we come back in the next day or two, and we'll go from there. So until then, we'll see you then.